Hello, good evening and welcome to News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. And we're also live on 3FM 92.7 and streaming on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Let's start with the major news highlights of the day. Government dissolves the Governing Council of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST. The university has been closed down following confrontations between students and management. A 7-member interim council has been constituted to restore normalcy at KNUST and take steps to reopen in 14 days. The Ghana Standards Authority impounds a consignment of fake electrical products manufactured by some Chinese nationals. The products, which do not meet the requisite standards, were found to be produced in a 2-story building at Abose Okai here in Accra. The Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yaudame comes to the rescue of the Inspector General of Police after preventing the sentencing of the IGP by an Accra High Court. The Deputy AG filed applications, 3 of them which ensured David Asante Apietu was not handed a jail term or fined. In business, prices of petroleum products are expected to go down by 2% in the next pricing windows. Players in the energy sector attribute this to the appreciation of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar and decreases in the prices of petroleum products on the world market. Elsewhere around the world, Ethiopia's parliament approves diplomat Sahle-Work Zewde as the country's first female president. This has cemented another shift in the country's political system from Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Zewde is at present UN Under-Secretary General and Special Representative of the Secretary General to the African Union. So those were our major news highlights. Remember, we're live on 3FM 92.7, streaming on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Up next is a big one. Welcome back. Now, the Governing Council of the University, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, has been dissolved with immediate effect, according to a statement issued by the Ministry of Education. A 7-member interim council has been instituted to restore normalcy at KNUST. You would recall that on Monday, October 22nd, 2018, there were disturbances on the KNUST campus in Kumasi, during which property were several thousands of cedis properties were vandalized. The university was subsequently shut down indefinitely upon the advice of the Regional Security Council. Right, so let's get back to the studio and speak with Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Vincent Eko Esifwa. How are you, sir? Thank you very much for coming. So tell me, upon whose recommendation the KNUST Governing Council was dissolved?
Well, let me say a very good evening to you and your cherished viewers. If you remember, on Monday there was a communique from the Ministry of Education indicating clearly that on Tuesday the Minister of Education will lead a delegation to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and for us it was almost a fact-finding mission on the part of the Ministry of Education following the disturbances that happened on KNUST campus. And when we went, we segregated our meetings into 3. The first one that we did was for us to meet the Regional Security Council, that is the RECSEC in Ashanti region, after we met the University Council, the University Management, and we went ahead to meet the Student Representative Council. Clearly, there was something that was running through, but To answer your question straightly, there was a recommendation from RECSEC to the Ministry of Education to ensure that before steps are taken to open KNUST, we should be able to resolve at least most of the issues that led to the disturbances. And those issues were clearly spelled out by the Student Representative Council.
So at what point was the decision to dissolve the governing council made? At what point did this come up?
It was after the assessment of the briefs that were given by the University Council, the management, and the Student Representative Council. That is why I referred you back to the recommendation that was made by RECSEC, and RECSEC was very clear in its recommendation. They said that because of the security issues that came after the disturbance, they feel that we should be able to resolve most of the issues before we reopen the school for academic exercise to go on.
So what are the terms of references for this interim management council?
Well, the terms of references are centered or pivoted on 4 key pillars. The first and foremost is that the interim council that is being chaired by Nana Ifa Apenten, who is currently the Bompata of the traditional area in Ashanti region, is supposed to, as it were, assume the full powers of the University Council.
That incapacitates the vice chancellor, right?
I don't think so. It only incapacitates him with his authority and powers on the council, because he is no more a member of the council, but he is still a vice chancellor. So what it means is that the powers and authority for him as a vice chancellor on the council is no more, but he can still be a vice chancellor of the university until determined by the interim council. So what the interim council is supposed to do is that they are supposed to assume the powers of the university, and again to also establish the causes of the recent riots that happened on KNUST campus. Again, they are also supposed to find a resolution to the differences between the student management and the SRC.
But there are those who say the decision to dissolve the governing council is a cheaper option available. And do you not think that dissolving the council actually sends negative signals? Because, I mean, I'm asking this on the back of the fact that Ghana Telecom University, for example, has been without a governing council 18 months or more since this government assumed office. Nothing has been done about it, and the speed with which the current governing council was dissolved at with the impasse at University of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology really begins to raise questions why there are no governing councils for other universities, and the one which has, you speedily dissolve.
But don't you think that it also defeats the claims being made by some other school of thought who also think that the Ministry of Education sat aloof for quite a long time before acting?
Did you?
We don't think so, because we live in the tenets of the law, and what the law says is that per the KNUST Act, the act that established KNUST in 1961, that is the Act 80, clearly gives that semi-autonomy power to the University Council. And so the ministry couldn't have really sidestepped the powers of the University Council. So what we did was that we allowed the university management and the council to make their decision, because if you remember, at the time that even the alumni had to even go and petition the Ministry of Education, at the time when they came, unfortunately the minister and the professor, the minister in charge of tertiary was not even around. I had to even stand in their stead to take that petition after they went to the president to also go and petition the president that they want the conversion of the hall. And so if you realize, clearly the president's direction was not even to the ministry, it was to the University Council to have a second look as to the decision of having the conversion of the single halls to mixed halls.
I know there have been calls for the Vice Chancellor to step aside. Do you get the impression, I mean, you're from the ministry, so you can tell us whether you think that Professor Obiri Danso will survive this issue at KNUST, and even with the Interim Management Council and the dissolution of the Governing Council. Is he going to have a job?
Well, that is a question that the Interim Council should be able to answer, and that is why it is part of the terms of references of the Interim Council to find out as to what really transpired for us to get to where we are today. And so until the Interim Council brings out its recommendation, very difficult for me to sit here and make projections as to what is going to be the fate of the current Vice Chancellor of KNUST.
But if there are recommendations for him to go, so be it.
Of course, that is why the interim council assumes the power of the university council. And if they are assuming the power of the university council, it means that they are the highest decision-making body for the university.
Vincent, we're grateful for your time.
Science and Technology.
Thank you very much for joining us. Vincent Seifor is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service. I'm Stephen Enti, Ministry of Education. I beg your pardon. This is News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. Let's do some other stories now. The Ghana Standards Authority has impounded a consignment of fake electrical products manufactured by some Chinese nationals. The products, which do not meet the requisite standards, were found to be produced in a two-story building at Abosiokai in Accra. The electrical products, which range from cables, LED lamps, and many others packaged in boxes, were packed out of the building, which looked like a dejected house. The two Chinese nationals, 30-year-old Su Lungyu and 48-year-old Chen, had some items in the house which suggested the production house also served as their resident, though an untidy environment. Huge sums of money in dollars and cedis and yen were also found in the house, with vouchers suggesting sales recently made. All right, let's get on to the telephone lines pretty quickly and speak with Professor Alex Dodu, who is with the Standards Authority, the Executive Director of the Standards Authority. Good evening, Prof, and thank you extremely. We're grateful that you could make time to speak to us on such an important matter. So what is the situation now as we speak at the scene where the fake products were detected?
Well, good evening, Stephen, and your listeners. The situation is this. I mean, we got to the place based on the work we had done, prior work, which indicated certain brands failing all the critical tests, which led us worried. We went there and realized that the situation had gone beyond leaving them and locking the place up. The number of products were just too many. So what we did was to go with the CID and to try and retrieve the goods. We realized our men and women were outnumbered in terms of the quantity of work to be done. We hired some people. As we speak, we filled our biggest auditorium half full with this product, and we'll continue tomorrow.
Interesting.
So our point is simple. Yep.
So can you give us an estimate of, the volumes? I mean, because you've clearly said that the volume outnumbered your staff strength, but are we looking at 8 tons, 10 tons, or?
It's really difficult to use tonnage because some of the things are lighter, but I would estimate in terms of 40-foot containers. You are looking at about 8 40-foot containers.
That's large.
8. That is huge. That is filling a whole auditorium. But I think the point I am very clear and I want to make to this country is this. The level of impunity was astonishing. We had written to all the companies who had been bringing these products, sanctioned them, fined them, and told them to desist from supplying the product. They have gone ahead to increase their goods, and they are selling more. And our view is that whatever it takes, we will seek the necessary resources to remove the goods from circulation and get them properly disposed of. However that is done will be our problem, but that is what we'll do, because it's almost as if whoever is doing it, be they Ghanaians or non-Ghanaians, feel the laws can be flouted willy-nilly and there'll be no consequences.
So what's going to be the next step? This is pretty worrying, especially considering the fact that the unsuspecting consumer, the Ghanaian, will not be able to tell exactly which cables are appropriate, which are not. I mean, the only time they can tell is when there is a fire and perhaps huge losses and damage, a loss of life and property.
So, Stephen, tomorrow we are having a press conference to mention all the cables we have approved as the Ghana Standard Authority.
Right.
We are also mentioning and publishing the list of cables we have found which are dangerous. But beyond that, and starting from the 1st of January 2019, what we are telling Ghanaians is that we are going to have our mark on every imported cable, and every single one will be tagged. And
you don't have that already?
We as a country, we've never been doing import certification of these products. No.
Right.
That has been a weakness. And that we are determined to resolve immediately.
So what assurances are you giving to Ghanaians in general about your ability as an institution to, one, detect these fake products when they come in and clamp down on those who are bringing in and ensure that they don't get to the end user who are the consumers?
The main assurance I'll give is that it's about time every state agency, and we are doing that, takes Ghanaians very, very seriously. Secondly, we want to be judged based on the outputs we deliver, not on what we just say. Thirdly, we are saying that we have found from our own work that close to 80% of all these products are bad, and we are determined, our benchmark is within 12 months, it should be reduced to below 50%. And within 24 months, it should probably be 10%, which is what happens in most markets.
Right. I know that there are quite a number of fake products on the market, which requires that the Ghana Standards Authority ups its game. What are you going to do thereon, I mean, from now to assure Ghanaians that you're going to deal with all the other fakes that are swamping our markets?
Stephen, what I would tell Ghanaians, and we would like to be held accountable, is this. For far too long, and I would not say when, but for the past few decades, people have accepted that, everything goes. Under my watch, as the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, we have a pledge with Ghanaians. It's not just a job, it's a calling. And what we are saying is this. This will be no market for dodgy products. We will clean up, and we have said that if we don't succeed, Ghanaians should hold us up and let us suffer the consequences of not succeeding.
Right.
Because there is no middle way.
Right, Professor Dodo, we're grateful for your time. Thank you extremely. Professor Alex Dodo is the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority. I'm Stephen Enti, and you're watching and listening to News at 10 live from the News Hub at Addis Ababa. We're on radio 92.73 FM. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now, TV3 has obtained the price list of the restaurant that supplied lunch for 8 members of staff of the Ghana Maritime Authority at the cost of 10,652 Ghana cedis. Details are emerging that Bamboo Restaurant, located adjacent to the Luxy Suites Hotel in Cantonments, of which the current Director General of the Maritime Authority is a group chairman, supplied the food. Komala Kuluchi has been following this and has come through with this report.
Kwame Owusu, having been appointed the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, is described by the website of the authority as having earned a reputation as an accomplished management expert with over 30 years of public and private sector experience in finance and accounting. The site also says, as the group chairman of Lux Hotel, he oversaw the expansion of the hospitality group from one location to 6 others in Ghana. A leaked memo dated November 8, 2017 from the Director of Administration of the authority, Rhoda Atia, to its Director General, Kwame Owusu, requested for the approval of 10,652 cedis as cost of food supply for lunch for 8 people. Then another memo issued on December 28, 2017 by the Administrative Director, Rhoda Atia, also requested for another 135,125 cedis for payment of food, drinks, and music for staff and protocol of an end-of-year party. TV3 News checks revealed less than 100 people attended the get-together that saw some hard-working staff awarded for their meritorious service. So we attempted for some answers from the Luxuite Executive Hotel, a 3-star hotel, for confirmation on the said payment. Managers will not release any information except to give out the cost of food sold at the restaurant. Then it was identified that Bamboo Chinese Fusion Restaurant serves food for guests to the hotel and customers seeking for meals. We also confirmed that the highest rate charged for a meal at the restaurant is 85 cedis for seafood platter for XO sauce, but it remains unclear the kind of meal served for the 8 people at the said lunch that cost 10,652,000 cedis. Per calculations on the 10,652 cedis amount spent on lunch, it would mean that each person was entitled to 1,331 cedis. At the Ghana Maritime Authority on Thursday, management claimed they were locked up in a meeting discussing the matter. They will not speak to the news team on the issue. Questions on conflict of interest are now emerging about the role the Director General might have played in Lux Hotel having been contracted for the supply of the food.
There's clearly a conflict of interest in this, to the extent that he is the chief executive of these companies, and there is procurement that involves these companies, whereas he's in a public sector entity where the procurement, ideally, whichever processes were involved, he should not be party to them, and he should have excluded himself from any such process. And that's not even looking at the figures involved, which also raise additional questions.
Questions being asked by many even transcend the issue of conflict of interest, as concerns about the justification for the amount of money paid as lunch for aid has also come up. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
And here in Accra, I'm Stephen Enti. That's how we wrap up with news at 10. Thank you extremely for making time. On behalf of the crew, good night. There's more news at 3news.com.